Mercedes-Benz Tri-State Dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. By Citi, preferred card of the New York Mets. And by Honda, great deals are waiting at your Honda dealer. Get to Citi Field for Free Shirt Friday this Friday when the Mets take on the Dodgers at 7:10 p.m. All fans in attendance will receive an Ahmed Rosario t-shirt courtesy of Goya. Plus, stay after the game for a post-game performance by Busta Rhymes, presented by New Balance. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/tickets. The cricket smile moment of the game. Well, that's a great smile. That's almost Nimmo-worthy. And what kind of smile is better than that? Seth Lugo, Chad Bettis, the starters. First pitch from Denver coming right up. Excited about that. Second time in 4 days that Jose has gotten a start. Ahmed Rosario getting the day off. And there is the Geico Mets starting lineup. Second straight start for Dominic Smith in left field as he gets accustomed to big league outfield play and the most difficult of outfields to play. Mets hoping to continue their offensive run of success. 30 runs in the last 4 games. As they take on a guy who shut him out for 7 innings the last time they faced him.
A 5-1 record for Bettis. That actually, a 4.65 earned run average is not too bad. But like I said in the open, folks, his last 4 starts, 2-2 with an ERA, 8.44, and 5 runs in those 4 starts and 8 home runs. And 3 of those starts were here at Coors Field. So he's struggling right now. And the Jeep Rocky infield defense. Murphy back behind the plate. Okay. Is he a closer now? Is that what he can actually close? He's a fireman?
It's the hot corner, Keith. It gets very hot at third base, and Nolan Arenado can put out that fire.
Do you remember the day when they gave away the fire hats to the guy that was the
relievers?
That was the closer of the year.
Yes.
The outfield, the Jeep outfield. Well, with Parra back in the lineup, this is a much better outfield all the way around. A well-rounded outfield.
We actually saw Nolan Arenado make an error yesterday in the 9th inning. He threw away an infield hit by Rosario and was charged with an error. Brandon Nimmo leads off. Bettis' first pitch is low and away for ball 1, and we're underway. Nimmo 5 for 10 in this series, including his 4-hit, 4 RBI, 2 home run game on Monday night. And he takes the cutter inside, and it's 2-0. Nimmo starts the day with a .409 on base percentage, which would be 3rd in the National League, and a .596 slugging percentage, which would lead the National League. He is 2 plate appearances shy of qualifying for the league leader starting play tonight, so in another day or 2, if he doesn't get a day off, he should qualify for the league leaders and rise right to the top. 3-0 to Nimmo leading off with Asdrubal Cabrera on deck. Michael Conforto behind him. And Brandon takes a strike on the outside. It's 3-1. Keith highlighted Bettis' problems of late. It's been a team-wide phenomenon for the Rockies. Their pitching has been dreadful, particularly here at Coors Field. In fact, historically so. This is a team that pitched very well in their home ballpark last year, and a difficult place to pitch. But they've now given up 8 or more runs in each of their last 8 home games. That's the longest streak for any team at home since 1894. Nimmo with a half swing, and he went around strike 3, and that's the first out of the night. Think about that. It's been 124 years since the team has given up 8 or more runs in 8 straight home games. You got to go back to the 1894 St. Louis Browns that turned into the Cardinals.
So there were a bunch of little ping hitters back then, so they probably put together a bunch of hits.
Here's Asdrubal Cabrera, whose bat has picked up 6 hits in the last 3 games after just 5 hits in the previous 15 games. 4 for 10 in this series. And Asdrubal takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Borderline call by Lance Barrett, the home plate umpire. There you see what's happened recently. They snapped an 8-game home losing streak last night, winning 10-8. But their pitching, and particularly their bullpen, has just been dreadful. The starters haven't been much better. In fact, Bettis at home this year, 6 home starts. He has a 7.76 ERA. 8 road starts, 2.70. So
yes,
his home road stats have been starkly different. 1-2 coming, and it's in tight to Cabrera. I mean, it's always been that way since baseball, Major League Baseball, came to Denver 25 years ago, but it had seemed last year as though the Rockies had found a little better formula for pitching at home. Poked down the left field line by Cabrera, then a slice away, and it's a fair ball. It bounces into the corner and out of play, and Cabrera at second base with a double. Parra didn't even go after that ball, thought it was foul the entire way. But Cabrera reaches out and taps a double down the line, and the Mets have the first base runner of the night.
Just stuck his bat out there on a sinker away, and Parra just kind of lollygagged it over there. You're right, Gary. And he's fortunate that this ball bounced. There it is, the ball sinking away, change up, one hand just poking it right down the left field line. That's good hitting.
Rear end going one way, bat going the other way, and it's a thing of beauty. A 1-out double. Michael Conforto takes a fastball for a strike.
Michael got fooled last night in a real clutch part of the ball game late, where he got quick pitched by the left-hander Russin and struck out. But he's been looking much better at the plate, Garrett. I've seen he's taking the ball better, more balanced at the plate. Still like to see him get on top of the ball a little better, hit line drives a little more, don't drop that back shoulder.
Michael's 4 for 8 in this series with a couple of doubles, up to 226 for the year. Just 22 runs batted in, and we've played more than 40% of the season. He drives that one into right field for a base hit. Cabrera being waved around third. He'll come in to score. There's RBI number 23 for Conforto, and 3 batters into the game. The Mets have a 1-0 lead.
Starting to come around, and you know, we can talk about the offense during the woes, or we can talk about Cespedes, being out of the lineup. Nice hitting right there, and that sinker didn't get it away, stayed back. But Conforto has really been someone with 27 home runs last year, was really counted on to be a productive piece of this lineup, and you can't say it's a bad start. I mean, he's coming into this game almost 2.5 months in, hitting .226. But he looks like he's finally getting it going.
Looks like the signs have been positive on this road trip. Now 5 for 9 in this series. Here's Todd Frazier, and he swings and misses at a cutter, 0-1. Frazier really struggling right now. 4 for his last 31, and he's one guy who does not get healthy in this ballpark. His lifetime batting average at Coors Field is 127. Pops this one up into shallow center. Late start in for Blackman, but he'll get there. And that's the second out. Conforto holds at first, 2 away.
I can tell you one thing, Gary, and I played at the old Mile High Stadium in AAA. If you came in here and you had a 3-game series and you left with a bad series, that you would go and get on that bus to go to the next town and say, what a lost opportunity that was.
I wonder, though, if there are guys who just psych themselves out when they come to a hitter's ballpark.
I just think you got to lick your chops. Ball doesn't break as much. I mean, look at that interview we had there.
Dominic Smith laces one into right center for a base hit. Cargo gets over and cuts it off. Conforto goes first to third. Dominic Smith breaks an 0 for 12 skid with a hard hit base hit, the third hit of the opening inning.
First ball fastball hitting. A little bit different for Bettis this time around. Attacking on the first pitch. Gonzalez did a good job to cut this ball off. Gets to the wall. That's another run.
You chronicled how difficult it's been for Bettis lately. A lot of the damage has come in the first inning, including tonight. He's now given up 11 first inning runs in his last 6 starts. And the Mets have a chance to add to that with Wilmer Flores at the plate. And Wilmer takes out of the strike zone, ball 1.
That was the same for last night's Rocky starter, Marquez, and that's jumped on him for a run in the first inning.
Wilmer 2 for 9 in this series with a double and a home run. This is his 6th game since coming back from the disabled list. And the cutter off the plate, and it's 2-0. So Bettis, who has been knocked back on his heels frequently of late, has a big out to get here in the first inning. Already a run down. And now he's behind on Wilmer, 3-0, with Devin Mesoraco waiting on deck.
You might want to give Wilmer the hit sign here.
I talked to Mickey Callaway the other day, and he said basically all of his players have the hit sign on 3-0 unless he specifically puts a stop on it. Okay. He asked that after we saw Dom Smith swinging 3-0 the other day in Phoenix. And Wilmer takes a strike, 3-1.
That's interesting. You know, you got a pitching coach as your manager that is given a green light on 3-0. I love it.
His feeling is, especially as run starved as this team was for so long, when they have an opportunity to get a pitch to hit, let them swing. And that's ball 4, and that'll load him up. So 3 hits and a walk, and the Mets with a 2-out chance to add to this 1-0 lead with Mesoraco coming up.
Bud Black went down and talked to Buddy during batting practice. This is the only uniform there's the pitching coach out there.
Steve Foster, an early visit to Bettis in a crucial spot early on in this game.
Never cared for the sleeveless jersey the Rockies have. I never liked it, and I love when the Indians had it in the old days in the 60s, and the Reds and the Pirates. I like them, but I don't care for it on the Rockies.
So here's Mesoraco, who's already homered in this series. He started the opening game of the series on Monday night, had a homer and 3 RBIs. And he takes a first pitch strike. Evans looked a lot better at the plate his last 2 starts. 3 hits in his last 7 at bats. Conforto at third, Smith at second, Flores at first with 2 down. And a fastball on the inside edge, and Mesoraco didn't like that call by Lance Barrett.
Got the borderline strike right there. I thought it was low. Well, you got to forget about it. Got to bear down, get refocused. You're 0-2. We got to bear down. It was low. Borderline.
So Bettis with a chance to get through, but Mesoraco drills one to left field. That's a base hit, and will go to the wall. Conforto is in. Smith right behind him. Flores will be held at third. Devin Mesoraco with a 2-run double on an 0-2 pitch. And the Mets have put up a 3 spot in the opening inning.
0-2. Comes inside with a fastball. Catcher set up in. Mesoraco up to it. Rips it. Look at that follow through. He needs some at bats. He needs some reps up there. I think he's got a chance.
Well, you said he needed to shake off the bad call. Looks like he did. Here's Reyes sitting 8th in the order, and he takes inside ball 1. You got first base open. The pitcher Lugo on deck, and Tom Murphy, the catcher, looking into the dugout to see if they want them to walk Reyes. Jose's looked a lot better at the plate this road trip. Had the big bunt hit in Phoenix on Sunday. It was a fastball at the knees for a strike, 1-1. He came off the bench yesterday, drew a leadoff walk in the 9th when the Mets were trying to rally.
Bud Black is thinking, if I have to go to my bullpen early, this could be ugly. He's not getting his secondary pitches over Bettis at all.
Murphy smothering that ball to keep a run from scoring.
Well done.
Murphy, the rookie catcher, and now they're going to put Reyes on. After a 2-1 count, they decide to give him the intentional pass and bring Lugo to the plate with the bases full. So the second walk of the inning to go with 4 hits. 3 runs are in, and now Lugo gets a chance to bat before he ever takes the mound. Seth is 1 for 9 this year. His only big league home run came against the Rockies at Citi Field last year. He hit it off Chris Rustin, the left-hander. And he takes the cutter outside from Bettis, ball 1.
He's just not getting his breaking ball over.
That's with the bases loaded for the second time in the inning. Mesoraco delivered a 2-run double, and now Lugo takes a fastball strike, 1-1. 30 pitches already in this opening inning for Bettis, who has seen his season crumble over the last 5 starts. And that one's outside. 2-1. Well, Steve Foster's already visited the mound, and not much good has happened since. Nimmo, who led off the inning, is on deck. 2-1 to Lugo, and he fouls away the fastball, and it's 2-2. Two coming, and that's on the outside corner. Got him looking at the cutter to put an end to the inning. But 9 Mets come to bat, and 3 runs score to give Lugo an early 3-0 lead. MLB All-Star ballot is now open and exclusively online. Make sure your favorite Mets are represented on this year's squad by voting at Mets.com/vote. Catch all the excitement of the 89th MLB All-Star Game July 17th live on Fox. Hyundai starting lineup for the Colorado Rockies. Gerardo Parra back in there in left field after sitting yesterday. Tom Murphy back in behind the plate likewise. Otherwise the same unit for the Rockies have been scoring plenty of runs. Just haven't gotten much pitching, and they're down 3-0 early in this one as they face Seth Lugo.
There's Seth's numbers right there, his Land Rover numbers. 4th start of the year. Looking to bounce back. Really not from a terrible start. As we mentioned, the home run got him. 2 home runs he gave up.
The interesting part of this start tonight, it's his first time ever pitching at Coors Field. And anybody who's pitched here will tell you that the curveball is the most difficult pitch to throw effectively in this thin air. It doesn't break the same way, so you have to make an adjustment or kind of go to a different repertoire. And it'll be interesting to see how Seth handles that tonight. DJ LeMahieu 1 for 8 in this series. And it comes on the heels of 2 starts when Lugo has thrown his curveball more than he has thrown it at any time in his career.
He's thrown the curveball more than the whole season, I think, than any time in his career.
Pitched a gem against the Yankees, the only game the Mets won in that series. Then gave up home runs to Paul Goldschmidt and Daniel Descalso in the series in the game in Arizona. And LeMahieu golfs one in the air to right, and Nimmo steadies under it. 1 out.
And your Lexus Metzi infield defense. Jose Reyes gets the start at shortstop. That's his 7th start of the year at short. He's had 7 at third and 7 at second base and 1 at third. In the outfield, Dom Smith 2 days in a row out there in left. And they gave him a little work last night. That ball found him a whole bunch down that left field line.
Might not get quite as much work there with the right-hander on the mound today. Jason Vargas was giving up a bunch of bolts to left field. Here's Charlie Blackmon 2 for 7 in this series. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Blackmon leading the National League in runs scored with 55. Scored 2 more last night. And slider low and in, 1-1. Rockies faced Lugo in New York in relief. Seth threw 3 scoreless innings against Colorado in that series that the Rockies swept in early May. Changeup foul back, 1-2.
Rockies really haven't been clicking offensively. They're big bats. I mean, they got a lot of runs last night, but I don't feel that any one particular hitter, even Blackmon right now, looks like he's a little off.
Lugo with his first strikeout of the night as he blows away Blackmon with a fastball. 2 out and nobody on. And now Nolan Arenado. He had a big night last night. Single, double, and home run. He was the first of the 3 consecutive home runs that the Rockies hit against Jason Vargas that helped chase him in the 3rd inning. Arenado 3 for 9 in this series, 3rd in the National League in on base percentage, 4th in slugging percentage coming into the night. And he pops the first pitch up in foul ground. That'll come back out of play.
Well, with his night last night, Gare, off the left-handers, a 3 for 5 night, 2 for 3 off of Vargas. He raised his batting average against left-handers back where it was last year, just about. He's hitting .410 against left-handers. That is extraordinary.
We'll get to face another lefty tomorrow when Steven Matz pitches for the Mets. Fouls away the slider, and it's 0-2. There are the OPS leaders in the National League. And again, this doesn't include Nimmo, who's 2 plate appearances shy of qualifying. He would have the league lead, and he will in a couple of days if he keeps it up. But for now, Arenado's second behind Freddie Freeman.
Got 2 guys on that list that are front runners for most valuable player in the National League. A long way to go, obviously. And Freddie Freeman, who's just been having a terrific year, and Kemp with the Dodgers.
Kemp has been just an enormous surprise, and of course it was the Braves who traded Kemp to the Dodgers. Imagine if Kemp was having that year alongside Freeman in Atlanta.
Oof.
Curveball drill deep left field down the line. That ball is well gone. Well, we talked about Lugo and the curveball in this high altitude, and that curveball sat on a tee for Arenado, who hits his 15th home run of the year to cut the Met lead to 3-1.
Well, hanging breaking ball, and the key here, if you watch, folks, on the replay, is watch the front shoulder. Stays in, hanger breaks right into the fat of the bat. It's all about, look at that front shoulder. And boy, when you hang it over the middle, it's just right there for an easy stroke. And in this ballpark, it'll go.
So then the question becomes, if you're Seth Lugo and you see that happen as Cargo drills one to right field, overcomes Nimmo to make the catch, do you abandon that curveball for the rest of the night, or you try and figure out a different way to throw it? We'll see as we go on. 3-1 Mets after 1. Brandon Nimmo leads off the second inning by bouncing one past Ian Desmond into right field for a base hit, and the Mets have the leadoff man on in the second.
But don't worry, folks, we apologize for that, and we'll show it to you again. Took a long break, and there it is. You saw it now on tape. Base hit, nicely done.
There's another angle.
Oh, Brandon keeps on keeping on.
So Nimmo now 6 for 12 in this series, and here's Cabrera, who poked a double down the left field line to get the Mets started in the first inning. Cabrera's playing every day right now on that sore leg, and Mickey Callaway's been trying to urge him to take some time off, but Cabrera keeps saying he wants to be in the lineup even tomorrow, day game after a night game, because after all, who wants to not play when they're at Coors Field? Who would ever want to miss a game?
I understand.
If you're an offensive player.
Well, it's something foreign to me. I know that the Mets under Sandy Alderson, they have X amount of games where a player has to sit down. I don't want to sit down when I'm red hot. And certainly early in the year, you want to get, and to me, this is still early in the year. This is the first half of the season. I never really needed an off day April and May. Didn't want one. If you want to give me one in June, fine.
Well, it's June 20th. Summer begins tomorrow.
Just don't give me an off day here at Coors Field.
That was my point, that nobody wants to sit in this ballpark.
Hey, I'll go to bed early to play a day game.
Nimmo at first, nobody out, Conforto on deck. And Cabrera lays off, and a full count.
That'll get Nimmo in motion. And Murphy has had his work cut out for him behind the plate here, as Bettis is really struggling with his secondary pitches. Which, as a hitter, you recognize that. You can get ahead in the count, get a favorable count, and get into a fastball count.
Bettis doesn't strike out many, so there's every chance that Nimmo would be in motion here. He's running, and Cabrera bounces one down to first. So the Mets stay out of the double play. Nimmo advances to second on the ground out to Desmond. One away. When Bettis faced the Mets the first time around, he threw 7 scoreless innings and only struck out 2 batters.
Right.
That is very rare in this day and age, but there was another game like that today. John Lester pitched against the Dodgers, threw 7 scoreless innings and struck out only 1.
What's wrong with pitching to contact?
Those are 2 of only 5 games in the major leagues this year where a pitcher's gone 7 scoreless and struck out 2 or fewer. Here's Conforto, who drove in the first Met run with a base hit to right in the first. By the way, the Dodgers are coming to Citi Field this Friday, and they had been red hot, but they went into Chicago, lost 2 of 3, and the Dodgers have now scored just 6 runs in their last 4 games. And they have the day off tomorrow before they come to Citi Field Friday.
See, Philly won, beat the Cardinals today, and it looks like
the Cardinals lost Michael Wacha. He strained an oblique, came out of the game in the 4th inning. Looks like he'll be out for a while.
8 wins coming into that game. Stop doing sit-ups.
Is that the problem? Really? Would you recommend yoga instead?
I would. Yoga would be very good.
Maybe Pilates.
Pilates would be very good for an athlete to keep a limber. Listen, you don't have a 300-pound lineman tackling you and landing on your tummy. You don't need all that. That's too much core going on. Well, core training. Excuse me. Let me be specific.
Well, the Mets had an oblique injury to a pitcher. Anthony Swarzak missed 2 months after straining an oblique. I mean, it's a tough injury for a hitter to come back from, but just as difficult for a pitcher.
I've said it a million times, Gary. I never did a sit-up. Very, very seldom. Only when a coach was watching me.
Flies one foul.
And guess what? My core, my muscles, my stomach muscles are perfect. They've never been hurt. Now my hamstring and my quad and this calf, no.
Now, do you think that maybe some of those lower body injuries are related to the core?
Nope. I do not. Nope. You cannot tell me that. I know. I will not buy it.
Noted physiologist and kinesiologist Keith Hernandez, everybody. Conforto drills one down the line, and that goes foul.
I made sure I stretched, and I just ran long distance. I didn't lift until late in my career. That's when it started coming in, and that was a good thing. But I just ran long distance cross country, and I stretched. I was very limber. Not anymore though.
7th pitch of the at bat coming to Conforto, and he struck him out with a changeup. Bettis has his 3rd strikeout. 2 down.
Changeup, chased the sinker.
Bettis has already struck out more in this game than he did in 7 innings against the Mets first time around. So 2 out. Nimmo still at second, and here's Frazier, who swung at the first pitch and flied out to center field his first time up.
I just think in baseball, and I'm not. You've got to do. I didn't do any core, okay, and that's fine. But there is some benefits from it. But you look at the guy swinging. He's got to use a lot of hip rotation at your waist. It's a lot of those muscles are being twisted in a swing, and I think I can say with the proliferation of what's it called? Core injuries. There's got to be something to it. There's got to be a middle ground somewhere.
Up the middle, and that gets through for a base hit, and that'll bring in a run. Nimmo comes in to score as Frazier sneaks one through the middle for an RBI hit, and the Mets lead 4-1.
Well, Nimmo in the middle of it again. Getting on base. Oh, what did he do? So a pitcher is going to be mad at himself for getting that full count as the inning started. The base hit, leadoff base hit. There's the base hit by Frazier, which is good to see. He's been struggling, but he got to a 3-2 count on Cabrera, allowing Nimmo to run on the 3-2 pitch. Got a ground ball instead of the lead runner getting out. He's in scoring position.
Little Coors Field small ball, and the Mets create a run.
Those are the little things.
Well, we've talked a lot about Coors Field and the way it enhances offense. And you can talk all you want about the home run balls, and sure, the air's thin and the ball flies. That's toward the middle of the diamond, flagged down nicely by Story, and he throws out Smith. But the biggest factor as far as offense in this ballpark is the expanse in the outfield, which leads to such a proliferation of base hits, because you just can't cover that much ground. Mets lead 4-1 in the second. Trevor Story leads off the bottom of the second for the Rockies. That's with a 4-1 lead. Story 2 for 7 in this series, including a home run last night. With Arenado's home run in the first inning, the Rockies now have 3 players with 15 or more home runs. Story's got 16, Desmond has 15, and Arenado has 15.
When they were the Blake Street Bombers, they had bunch of power numbers.
It's back before the humidor slowed down the home run barrage, and they had guys like Andres Galarraga and Dante Bichette and Vinny Castilla and Ellis Burks and Larry Walker.
Yep. By the way, Larry Walker was some player.
Frazier gives ground on that two-hopper. High throw, and it sails past Flores and goes into the stands. That'll be a two-base error on Frazier, and Story will go to second base. Well, he decided to move back and play the long hop rather than come in for it, and it ends up costing.
Well, that might have been an error in judgment because Story can fly, so he had to rush the throw. I know he probably got a bad break on it, but he was kind of throwing off his back foot, off balance.
I agree with you, Keith, because I think that was going to be a very close play, even had he made a perfect throw.
Yep. With
Story's speed, but they do call it an error all the way. And Story's at second with nobody out for the red-hot Gerardo Parra, who's hitting .432 over his last 13 games. Had 2 hits in the opening game of the series, and he takes low for ball 1. You see the recent numbers for Parra. He's been a nice player for a long time. Hit over 300 for the Rockies last year.
Big open stance. He's a good player. There he is backing up for the long hop, and he had to rush it. It's been a very close play here.
That's grabbed by the fan.
I missed that.
It's an unexpected play, right? You're not necessarily expecting that to come into your row if you're 6 rows back behind first base. 3-0 now to Parra with Desmond on deck. Mets have now committed an error in each of the 3 games in this series. Here's a strike. Parra this year with runners in scoring position hitting .372. That's the 4th best mark in the National League. Luga behind him 3-1, and time asks for it. Parra whacks one into right center for a base hit. Story around third. He'll come in to score. It's an RBI single for Gerardo Parra. He stays red hot, and it's now 4-2 New York.
He's a good line drive hitter. Doesn't play a lot against lefties.
So the Rockies take advantage of the Frazier error to play an unearned run.
Got a fastball, outer half. Fell behind the count. That was the key there. 2-0 and then 2-1.
So now Ian Desmond, who homered last night, he's been a hot hitter of late. After a dreadful start, he thinks about a bunt and takes the curveball up and in, and that curveball right now is of no consequence for Seth Lugo.
It's only the second one he's thrown, Gare, and one was the home run to Arenado, which he hung, and this one, which wasn't even close.
Desmond over his last 9 games hitting .361 with 4 home runs. And another curveball that he just can't control, and it's 2-0. And it's got to be very frustrating for Seth. That pitch is his bread and butter, but as generations of pitchers at altitude will tell you, it's the hardest pitch to throw effectively here.
Well, you wonder if it's in his head, and we don't know. I'm speculating here. You know, the tendency is I got to snap it harder, and you rush. I think Mr. Darling would agree with that assessment of mine right there.
Well, Mickey Callaway said before the game, and I can't speak to what Ronnie would say, but Mickey said that if you're going to throw the curveball here, you got to start it lower. And you can see every curveball he's thrown so far has been up. He hasn't been able to snap it off.
Oh,
get it down.
So the old term, pull the shade down. You really got to pull the shade. Get it out in front and snappy tom it.
Second straight hitter. He's fallen behind 3-0. And there's a fastball for a strike. 3-1. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, guys, I don't know what Ron Darling would say, but I do know what Chris Iannetta would say about something like that. I spoke with him, and he said that the #1 thing he watches for as a catcher here is guys trying to do too much on their pitches because they're thinking about this altitude. It's key that you actually try and do less and not overthink it.
That makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And the same thing on the opposite, Steve, when you're a hitter, when you're trying to hit a home run, don't overswing and over muscle it. Stay back and do less, like you said. Keep that smooth swing. Very good comment. You're doing your good job tonight, Stevie.
He's 1 for 1. Close play, and Parr got the hand back in. So Lugo is going to have to figure out a little different game plan today. First ever appearance at Coors Field. He's had a lot of success against the Rockies in limited outings at Citi Field, but this is a whole different animal. 3-2 to Desmond with nobody out. And Parr is running, and the pitch is outside, ball 4. And the Rockies have 2 men on. First walk given up by Lugo. Well, Brandon Nimmo appears to be just fine standing out in right field, but the Mets got a little bit of a scare as he scored the run in the last half inning. Watch after he crosses home plate.
Oh, a little bit of a.
Broke it down a little bit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, something's. Oh, that right foot, something.
Maybe a cramp. I mean,
I don't know.
It's a dry atmosphere here, and guys have to hydrate that much more. And
hey, Wild Horses is not going to take him off drag him off this field.
Well, just watching him run out to his position and walk out there, he doesn't seem to be struggling at all. So whatever it was, it appears to have passed.
He is struggling, Mr. Lugo, right now in this inning. I think he's kind of afraid to throw the curveball in a tight situation here.
Tom Murphy, the catcher, takes a fastball on the corner, and it's 1-1. Murphy just called up last week, making his 7th start. Started the opening game of this series, struck out all 3 at bats. It was against DeGrom. Now he bats with 2 on and nobody out in the second.
Oh, threw it by him
on that fastball, and it's 1-2.
Well, that train left the station. Got to dial it up a notch.
Tying runs on base with nobody out. And Murphy with an ugly cut, and he goes down swinging. Completely beaten by a couple of Seth Lugo fastballs, and that's the first out of the inning.
And they wanted it up in the strike zone, but it was down and away.
When that happens, when a guy has that bad a swing, it makes me almost think, did he somehow, out of the corner of his eye, see the catcher, note the location that the pitch was going to be up and expect it there, and then get so badly fooled?
I don't think so, Gare. I think that young Mr. Murphy, who got off to a good hot start his first 4 games, did not have a good game the first. Of course, he faced DeGrom. DeGrom just blew him away with fastballs, and I think the Mets noted that. And Lugo noted that, didn't mess around. No breaking stuff. Went right after him with cheddar.
Bettis 3 hits, 1 sacrifice this year. Batting with a first and second and 1 out. Lifetime .062 hitter. So naturally he'll be bunting. And that one gets away from Mesoraco, and that moves the runners to second and third. Don't know if he was crossed up, and Lugo points to his chest, says my bad. So whatever it was, they were not on the same page.
Oh, yep, it's a cross up.
He was looking for a slider, and he got a fastball. So the same thing happened with the Rockies last night with Iannetta, and it cost them a run. I said at the time, it just There's something about this ballpark. It's like it's not just the altitude. It's almost like the twilight zone.
I think a lot of times when pitchers are laboring, they get into their own little world. The veteran pitchers, you know, but like you said, this is the first time Lugo's pitched here.
Yep.
And welcome to a strange new world.
Infield will stay back. 1-1 to Bettis. And he hits a ground ball that'll get a run in. Cabrera makes the play on Bettis for the second out, but Parra comes in to score to make it 4-3 New York. So with only one hit in the inning, aided by a walk, a pass ball, and an error, the Rockies have scored twice to make it a one-run game.
Oh, too low for Seth. Ball scooted. Another one of those Coors games.
It's shaping up that way. 7 runs in the first 2 innings. Here's LeMahieu with the tying run at third and 2 out. And he takes the fastball down for ball 1. Slugged out to left center. Conforto won't get it, and that'll tie up the game. LeMahieu with an RBI single brings Desmond home, and it's 4-4.
Well, LeMahieu's very strong, muscles that ball out, and LeMahieu goes the opposite way. They say since they moved him into the leadoff position, he's been pulling a little bit more. And because Conforto was playing the opposite field, this ball drops.
A little trouble planting his foot as he tried to stop and throw. Kicked up some divots.
Get his caddy out there.
And he's grimacing a little bit as he maneuvers his leg. He appears to be all right. So the Mets had a 3-0 lead. That's gone. It's now 4-4 in the second. And what kind of score are we going to have tonight? There's Blackman, who struck out his first time up. 3 runs home in this bottom of the second. The whole thing opened up on Frazier's throwing error on Story's ground ball, and that's given the Rockies the impetus to pick up so far 3 unearned runs. Tied to Blackman 1-1. Arenado would be next. Blackman takes a changeup high, and it's 2-1. Well, plan B not working out so well for Seth Lugo so far. Well, that's the history at Coors Field. 1,887 games played here, 12 runs per game on average. By far the most of any park where they've played at least 1,000 games. There are only 2 other venues where there have been more than 10 runs per game. That's the current ballpark in Arlington and old Baker Bowl in Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia A's played in the early part of the 20th century. But this is the best offensive ballpark there's ever been. 2-2. And a foul tip held by Mesoraco. Blackman strikes out for the second time, the inning over. But the Rockies score 3 unearned runs after Frazier's error to tie the game at 4. So we start fresh in the third inning. Mets 4, Rockies 4. Wilmer Flores leads off against Chad Bettis. Wilmer drew a walk in the midst of the Mets' 3-run first inning. And a check swing foul.
Wilmer's had some really defensive hacks.
Well, there's lots of discussion that goes on with pitchers and catchers and pitching coaches in dugouts everywhere, but probably more so here. Like, what can we do? How do we figure this thing out? Of course, they've been having that conversation for 25 years since Major League Baseball came to Denver.
I like the way Mizorako is so involved.
Wilmer lines one right at LeMahieu. Soft line drive for the first out. You know what I mean? He definitely is assertive. You see that both behind the plate and in his conversation.
There's a curveball.
Mizorako got a 2-strike pitch and drilled a double to drive in 2 his first time up, and he grounds that one foul. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Gary, on the offensive side for Devin Mizorako, he's been doing a lot of work with the hitting coaches since coming over here on his posture. It's no secret that the last few years have not been good for him offensively. So when he came over, he said to Pat Russler and Tom Slater, anything you see, tell me. I'm open to trying anything. And what they noticed right away is that he was really leaning out over the plate. His body was falling over the plate, which affected his swing path. It was too much of a loop. So what they've been doing by trying to keep him upright, it gets his swing path better. They've been working on drills such as a high tee and a net drill where they bring the net close to him, so he's got to really bring his hands in and stay upright, not dive over the plate like he did chasing that pitch right there for strike 3. But that's why he's been better. He still hasn't been what he was a few years ago, but certainly the power is more than we've seen the last few years.
Well, Chad Bettis demonstrating how you throw a curveball here, as Mickey Callaway said, started low. And he did.
You know, that one, he snapped off two pretty good ones.
2 out and nobody on for Reyes, and he takes a fastball for a strike. So Bettis, after a couple of rough innings, it's like he's settling in a little bit.
Like Ronnie always says up here in the booth, that bottom half of the order, this should end the inning. Sorry, I thought I'd mix in a little play-by-play there, Gary. That'll end the inning. Ronnie always said the bottom half of the order is a chance when you're struggling to regroup.
Take us to break, Keith.
Well, we'll be right back, folks. 4-4, middle of the third. The netting up over the dugouts now, down both lines. so everybody's protected from a line drive or a bat getting flying into the stand.
See how she applauded for her favorite player? She's right in that fan groove. There's your Spectrum high-speed pitch. Lugo with a few miles an hour on Bettis. Nolan Arenado leads off in the home third, reaches and pokes one the other way for a base hit. So Arenado is 2 for 2. Yanked a curveball for a home run his first time up. This time reaching across the plate and poking one into right field.
Hit the cutter here. Good pitch at location as far as on the corner, but watch, it's belt high. Got to get it down.
So Arenado, 3 hits last night, 2 more hits tonight. That's the 4th hit against Lugo. All 3 runs against Seth in the second inning were unearned. But now a leadoff base hit in the third brings up Carlos Gonzalez, who drilled one to right that Nimmo caught his first time up. And there's a curveball outside, and Lugo's yet to throw an effective curveball tonight. He's thrown about a half dozen.
You're right, Gary. He's really getting it up. It's not bending for him.
Sinker misses, and it's 2-0. He's been behind in the count more than he'd liked. He's only walked one so far. Trying to get a little deeper into this game than Jason Vargas did last night. Mets had to use a ton of bullpen with Vargas knocked out in the third. Probably the best thing that happened for the Mets all night last night was the performance of Tim Peterson, who came in and pitched the last 2 innings and looked the best he's looked so far.
Did we mention the bullpen move the Mets made?
We have not. They sent Hansel Robles down today, brought Chris Flexen back to give him a fresh arm. 3-0, and Cargo takes outside ball 4, and the Rockies have something working here in the third. Second walk given up by Lugo.
I almost think that the lack of his curveball has changed Seth's whole. It's made him more defensive. That maybe he should go to his cutter gear. You mentioned that earlier. Maybe he should try the cutter more, particularly in a bind right here.
Paul Sewald doing some jogging in the Mets bullpen. Meanwhile, Trevor Story comes up with 2 men on. Story hit a ground ball to third. Frazier backed off on it, then threw it away for an error that opened the doors on a 3-run inning in the second. And the first pitch low and away, ball 1, and that'll bring Mesoraco out to the mound to try and see if he can get Lugo back on the right track.
No. Seth is usually unflappable, but I really feel that Coors Field is putting a spell on him.
This ballpark has broken many a pitcher, and you know, Mickey Callaway said yesterday, and it really is true, if you're a pitcher here, you just have to shake off whatever happens and realize that it's not going to affect your next outing, and just try and muddle through as best you can in the appearance you make here, because it happens to everybody.
Well, now you're really in trouble here as a hitter. If you're paying attention, can't get the curveball over. He's become basically a fastball changeup pitcher, and he's in a spot right here where he doesn't want to go 3-0. Boy, this is a good pitch to lay on a fastball.
And it's outside, and now it's 3-0 to Story. So that's 7 straight balls he's thrown after the first pitch hit by Arenado to start the inning. You got Story, who leads the league in RBIs at the plate. Gerardo Parra, red hot hitter on deck. Lugo between a rock and a hard place. There's a strike, 3-1. No action as yet in the Mets bullpen, but this is not easy right now for Lugo. And Story lines one, caught by Cabrera, tossed to second, not in time. Arenado just got back. So a line drive out for the first out of the inning.
That's a huge break for Seth, falling behind 3-0. And Arenado just gets back. Good base running.
Twisted his knee a little bit as he went back in, but he's all right. So one out, and now Parra, who had a base hit to right center to drive in a run in the second.
First ball fastball hitting, Gary, right now.
And gets a curveball in for a strike. So there you go. First effective curveball Lugo's thrown tonight. Still up, but at least he got it over.
Got it outside.
Yep. Got one over to Arenado, but that one left the building. Change up and away, and it's 1-1.
It's a big pitch right here.
Arenado at second, Gonzalez at first. Not a ton of speed on the bases for the Rockies. And Parra lifts one foul. Frazier will give it a look, but that's in the crowd.
He's getting that changeup up, but he's getting it away, but it's up. It'd be nice if he can pitch out of this one.
Trying to put it together with spit and glue tonight. Ahead on Parra, 1-2. And he comes inside.
Nice try.
2-2.
Missed inside. Yes.
And Parra fouls off the curveball.
He's getting it over, but it's not the snappy, that's not the snap curveball we're used to seeing. A little bit of a rainbow. It's tough up here. This light air.
I mean, it requires something of an adjustment, but you know, used to throwing a pitch a certain way. Imagine how tough that adjustment is on the fly. First time he pitch here.
This is his third stressful inning too. He's had his back up against it. He's had to work hard.
Really use a ground ball right now from Parra.
Boy, he's taking a lot of time.
Trying to suss out what to do next. Two coming up the middle, base hit. Parra. Arenado around third and heading home, and he'll score without a throw. Parra drives in his second run of the night, and the Rockies lead for the first time. It's 5-4 Colorado. You just can't get him out right now.
They wanted to come inside, and he threw it right down the pipe. Look at Mesoraco. Look, he moves his glove. Did not get it in. It bled way out over the middle. Arenado not fleet of foot. And there's the veteran Parra right now, red hot.
Curveball sits high to Desmond. Well, Parra started the night 372 with runners in scoring position. He already has 2 hits to drive in runs tonight. And the Rockies ahead for the first time. Desmond walked and scored in the second inning. Still only 1 out in this inning.
Oh, that's the best one he's thrown right there.
Well, he started a little lower and he got some snap on it. So maybe he's found a little better release point for it. Let's turn 3 double plays yesterday. They could sure use one right now. And a check swing foul on the sinker, and it's 1-2.
Desmond not having a good year, but look at the RBIs and the home runs. I mean, he's got 42 RBI. He's on a pace to drive in 100, hitting .214. He's a swinger, man. He's dangerous. He can be pitched to.
He's really picked it up lately. 9 RBIs in the last 9 games, 4 home runs in that stretch.
A lot of stepping out here, and that's something you would do right now. That's something I would do. But you got a pitcher out there like Lugo who's struggling. Don't let him find his rhythm.
1-2 coming. Just missed. 2-2. You know, the pitch count ballooning now for Lugo. 62 pitches with 1 out in the 3rd. No action as yet in the Mets bullpen. And you know how loath Mickey Callaway would be to go to his bullpen again this early. And Desmond helps him out by chasing a curveball, and it stays 2-2. So far away from him, he lost his bat.
Flailed at that one.
Flail is a good word.
It is. It's my dad's word. No flailing.
It's futile to flail. 2-2. Struck him out. Got him with a curveball. So Lugo, just in the course of this last at bat or so, throwing a few better curveballs, and he has his 4th strikeout.
We got a little help here. 2 curveballs out of the strike zone, and Desmond, the free swinger, chases. But as you said, Garrett, getting that curveball down.
So now 2 out and 2 on, and the number 8 hitter Tom Murphy, who's yet to make contact in this series, 4 at bats, 4 strikeouts. And a first pitch slider off the plate for ball 1. "23 pitches in this inning for Lugo. And now behind Murphy 2-0. He does have a base open with the pitcher on deck. The base is 3rd. So he can afford to be a little careful in this spot. And Murphy pulls one through the hole, a base hit. Gonzalez to 3rd. He'll come in to score. Tom Murphy with his first hit in the series drives in a run, and it's 6-4 Colorado.
Pitch was up and over the middle, and Seth is just having a devil of a time out there. There's the location. Wants it away right. He got it away, but up.
And that's going to set the Mets bullpen to work. 6 runs, 6 hits now against Lugo. The pitcher Bettis takes ball 1. Bettis drove in a run with the ground out his first time up. Paul Sewald getting quickly to work as Lugo having trouble putting the brakes on this 3rd inning. That's on the corner. 1-1. Rockies got a run in the first on the Arenado home run. They got 3 unearned runs in the second, and now they've tacked on 2 in the 3rd on RBI hits by Parra and Murphy. Bettis' RBI ground out in the second, his 2nd run batted in of the year, and the 6th of his career in 130 at bats. He has 8 career hits. Curveball off the plate, 2-2. Day game tomorrow to close out the series. Battle of lefties. New York native Matz for the Mets. Colorado native Freeland for the Rockies. It's like an intersectional rivalry. 2-2. And the curveball in there, strike 3 called, and the inning finally comes to an end. But the Rockies grab the lead with 2 after 3, 6-4 Rocks.
I mean, the thing to watch here, everything doesn't matter where the ball is, they're all up in the strike zone. Belt high or just below the belt.
And Lugo is done after 3 innings of work. 6 runs, 3 earned on 6 hits. Luis Guillorme will bat for him leading off in the 4th.
Well, one thing about this park, 2-run lead is nothing.
Well, we saw that last night. The Mets were down 9-2 and fought their way back before they fell 10-8. So Lugo, with his shortest start of the season. His first start was only 4 innings, but that's because he was coming out of the bullpen. Then he went 6 in a rougher outing against Arizona, going 5, and then his introduction to Coors Field was an ugly one. Guillorme drew a walk as a pinch hitter last night. Hitless in his last 11 at bats. And Bettis falls behind him 3-1. Bettis put up the first clean inning in this game in the 3rd. Got the Mets out 1-2-3 on just 10 pitches. Nimmo and Cabrera to follow in the 4th as the Mets play from behind. And Guillorme walks again. Met pinch hitters have done an amazing job drawing walks this year. That's 23 walks drawn by Mets pinch hitters, the most in the major leagues.
All right, top of the order.
3rd walk given up by Bettis. And now Nimmo, and we're live and in color for this at bat. Grounded a single through the right side his last time up and scored a run. 1 for 2 today, 6 for 12 in the series. And takes a fastball outside.
No. Fasten your seatbelts. Another one of those nights.
18 runs last night, 10 runs in the first 3 innings tonight. Changeup misses inside. 2-0. Nice dribble. Cabrera on deck. So Bettis, after throwing 10 pitches, 9 strikes in the 3rd inning, has thrown 7 pitches, 6 balls in the 4th inning.
And
Bud can pace again.
get an ulcer.
And a borderline strike, 2-1. You know, Davey Johnson made a lot of money endorsing Rolaids.
Yes, he did. I hope he did.
If he was going to pass down that endorsement deal, I would think that Bud Black would be the perfect recipient. Having to watch this every day. That's grounded down to first. Desmond goes to second. To Story back to first in time for the double play. 3-6-3, 2 out and nobody on.
Nicely done by Desmond, getting back to the bag. Nice hop for him. Comes in to cut the angle down, get the runner out of the play. Tailor made. Oh, Mom, don't worry, he's going to fail 70% of the time.
They've had a lot of happy moments in this series. That was different. 2 out and nobody on. Now Cabrera has dribbled, doubled down the left field line and scored a run in the first. Grounded out in the second. 1 for 2.
Well, remember, Nemo kind of looked like he came up a little lame, but he looks fine there running to first base.
I'm convinced that what he had coming across the plate was a cramp. It looked that way.
But you got to be careful with cramps when you're running, because those cramps, you knot up, and you're at full speed.
So he's hydrating, making sure it doesn't happen again. No salt tablets now.
I never liked the salt tablets. They upset my stomach.
I think the hydration makes a lot more sense.
Yes. I never liked Gatorade, Gary. I just drank regular water.
There's ball 4 and Cabrera's on. Second walk of the inning for Bettis and his 4th of the night. He came in averaging 3 walks per 9 innings, but struggling with his control in this game. And now will face Conforto as the tying run. Michael singled in a run in the first inning, struck out in the second. 1 for 2. 5 for 10 in this series. Let's come into the night having scored 30 runs in their last 4 games, and they'll need more of that kind of scoring tonight. Conforto hits a slow ground ball. Arenado cuts it off and practically at second base throws out Conforto to end the inning. 2 walks and 1 left. Middle of the 4th. 6-4 Rockies. pitch for the Mets as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Second appearance in the series for Sewald, who worked a hitless inning on Monday night. Top of the batting order, DJ LeMahieu is 1 for 2, drove in a run with a second inning single, and he takes the fastball outside for ball one. LeMahieu, Blackman, and Arenado against Sewald after Seth Lugo went the first 3, and they were 3 troubled innings. That's laced it over the pitcher's head and into center field. So Sewald gets low bridged by LeMahieu's second hit of the day.
Well, greeted it a little rudely.
It's got to be scary seeing that thing coming back at you like that.
Duck.
And he did. Duck, duck, goose. 7 hits now for the Rockies, and here's Blackman, who struck out twice against Lugo, and he fouls the first pitch back.
Boy, he was looking to lift that one. That was a home run swing right there. And you look at Paul's numbers, going through a tough patch, got off to a hot start. A lot of multiple innings early in the year.
Fouled off Mesoraco, and it's 0-2.
Well, I've never seen Blackman struggling like this. 2 straight fastballs.
Got on base 4 times last night, but 0 for 2 so far tonight. Three infielders on the right side against Blackman. And he grounds one. Double play ball. Cabrera to Reyes, and back to first for the 4-6-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on.
2 fastballs and a changeup. Got him to roll it over.
So now Nolan Arenado is already working on a big night, a home run and a single. He's driven in 1. He's scored 2.
Well, here's the home run in the first inning. His 15th on a hanging curveball. 347 down that line.
Home runs this year, 37 last year, over 40 the 2 previous years. Then throw in a Gold Glove every year of his career. He has risen right to the top of the charts.
2 of the 3 top offensive categories he's led the league in twice. That is impressive. I don't think that he's a guy that is a batting champ, but certainly Mr. Clutch with power.
He's in the top 10 in the league in batting this year. And he's on with a 2-out walk. So he's on base for the 3rd time tonight. And that'll bring Carlos Gonzalez to the plate. Cargo is lined out to right and drawn a 4-pitch walk and scored a run. Seth Lugo threw 72 pitches in 3 innings. He allowed 6 runs, 3 earned on 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 1 home run. His ERA goes up from 2.49 to 2.85. And he can put Coors Field in his rearview mirror at least for another year. Arenado at first with 2 out, and Gonzalez takes inside ball 1.
Shift on Gonzalez. He's really become a completely different hitter, and as he's become older, more of a pull hitter.
And he pops this one up. Cabrera and Flores, and it's Wilmer making the grab, and that retires the side. Scoreless inning for Sewald, first one of the night for the Mets. 6-4 Rockies. For New York, Mets down by a deuce. Todd drove in a run with a second inning single, 1 for 2 on the night. Facing Chad Bettis, who settled in a little bit after a rough beginning, gave up 3 in the first, 1 in the second. And Frazier takes a fastball for a strike. Of course, Bettis knows all about comebacks. A guy who was 2 winters ago diagnosed with testicular cancer, underwent surgery, came to spring training only to find out that the cancer had spread, underwent chemotherapy, and then made a miraculous comeback last season in the middle of August and made 9 starts before the year ended. I would imagine after going through that, giving up 3 runs in the first seems like nothing. And it's outside to Frazier, 3-1. Dom Smith on deck, and then Wilmer Flores. Early call for Robert Gazelman,
yes,
who has really become the main man in that Mets bullpen. But he is up in the 5th inning. Perhaps one of those nights when Gazelman will be asked to give the Mets some length. Frazier pops one up in a right center, carries pretty well, but Blackman has a beat on it. 1 out. Well, we saw Nolan Arenado make a fine defensive play to end the 4th inning, and we've seen him make tons of those. And his manager, Bud Black, is impressed with his preparation.
When I got hired, Nolan lives up in, the Orange County area. I live in San Diego. I went up and met him at UC Irvine for a workout. There were some other minor league players there, some big leaguers there. So I went up and through batting practice, and after BP was over, this is mid-January, Nolan wanted some ground balls, and so I went over and played first base. The college coach, was hitting grounders to Nolan, and I thought it'd be 5-8 minutes of grounders. Man, it was like 15-20 minutes. It was to his left, to his right, slow rollers, and he was diving, and he was telling the coach, "Hey, make me dive." And he was, diving, trying to make plays, the middle of January at a college campus. Man, it was awesome.
Well, that's why he's got the gold. It's hard work. Preston Gomez, as I've always said in the past, was the best fungo hitter, and I was very fortunate to have him on the coaching staff in St. Louis in 1976. Red Shandy's last year, and I got benched the first half of the season, and Preston Gomez made me come out every day and hit me 20 to 30 minutes of ground balls.
Smith hooks one down the line. That's a fair ball. That'll go all the way into the deep corner. Dom on his way to second. Cargo plays the carom. Smith's going to turn it on and try for 3. And LeMahieu didn't make a relay throw. He might have had a chance for him, but Dominic Smith legs out the triple. Dom picking him up and putting him down for his first major league triple.
Got himself a changeup. Remember, he hit a home run in Arizona on a pitch, a changeup. There he rips that one, and Story, and he's going to stop right here. And they had a chance for him.
I don't know why LeMahieu didn't throw.
Well, he had no help from Story at shortstop. Story's got to be, he's called the backup guy, the trailer behind the cutoff throw. Let him know where to throw it.
Wilmer flies one out to center field. Back goes Blackman. He's got room. Smith tagging at third. He can walk on in on the sacrifice fly by Wilmer Flores, and that cuts the Rockies' lead to a single run at 6-5. So Smith triples, comes home on the Flores sac fly, and the Mets trim a run off the Rockies' lead. Go back to that triple and see how the Rockies handled it. First, Mesoraco takes a swing and a miss.
Well, watch the shortstop here. Okay, he's got to be on second base because he's got to keep the runner close. But he can run out now and be the trailer, get 10 feet behind. Once you know it's a double, you don't need to cover second base anymore. You go out there and you help out your second baseman, and you tell him where to throw. That's what you're there. That's the verbal communication, and it was not happening there.
0-2 to Mesoraco. And he grounds one through the vacated part of the infield, and he's got his second hit of the night. Rockies had the full shift done against Mesoraco. Nobody home on the right side. And Devin, who had a 2-run double in the first, now has a 2-out single in the fifth.
That's the first time I have seen Mesoraco shorten up his swing and just play that ball the other way. Didn't overswing. That was his intent. And he usually has that follow through where he wraps his bat around his shoulder blades like Mike Piazza used to. Didn't do it there.
Bettis now up over 90 pitches. Mets have 8 hits on the night. Here's Reyes. And he pulls one down the line. That's going to go to the corner for an extra base hit. Mesoraco on his way to third. Cargo plays the carom. Mesoraco is going to be held. Reyes has a double, and the Mets have second and third. Glenn Sherlock waited a long time before it decided to hold Mesoraco, but Cargo got the ball in quickly, and he decided to hold Devin at third.
I think Reyes gets a hanging slider here. And it's good to see Jose swinging the bat better.
His at bats have gotten much better on this road trip, going back to the series in Arizona. So now with the pitcher due up, Jose Bautista is going to bat for Sewald. Mets have the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position with 2 out. And they've hit the ball very hard in this inning against Bettis. They're just now getting the bullpen cranking. As Bettis is at 92 pitches, Chris Russin, who got 1 out last night, is the first man up in the Rockies bullpen tonight. So here's Bautista, who started, or who came off the bench last night and had an RBI single in the 7th inning. Base hit here could give the Mets the lead. Down 6-5 in the 5th. And Bautista takes a strike. His first appearance against Chad Bettis. He's given up 3 hard hits in the inning. And a good block by Murphy. And one saved a run. 1-1.
That almost got under his glove.
Cover that 5-hole. One and 1 to Bautista, and that one's down. A changeup. 2-1. Bettis perhaps running on fumes at this point. First base open. Brandon Nimmo would be next. They've got the left-hander working in the bullpen, so this might well be Bettis' last batter. And now he's behind Bautista, 3-1. Bettis has already walked 4 tonight. He's given up 5 runs and 9 hits. He's nursing a skinny lead right now. And Bud Black's pacing again. 3-1 coming, and time called by the catcher Murphy as his pitcher was in his motion. Don't see that very often.
Nope. What was it about? I don't like the pitch that I called. And Bettis is a little miffed.
Well, he should be. Rookie catcher behind the plate. Runners lead second and third. And Bautista takes inside ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Nimmo coming up. Russin ready in the bullpen. And Bettis is going to be pulled 1 out short of qualifying for a victory.
And he doesn't deserve it with that pick selection, with Nimmo in the on-deck circle, change-ups, off secondary pitches.
I think he was just running out of gas.
He's afraid to throw his fastball.
So he's out after 4 2/3. Russin will come in to face Nimmo with the bases full. We'll be right back. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. He came in last night with the bases loaded to face Conforto, and he pulled a little trick with an 0-2 count. Coming out of the windup, he quick pitched Conforto and got a huge out for the Rockies.
It worked, and let's see if he works out of his windup here again as he did last night.
You'd have to think that Nimmo has gone to school on that and will be prepared for it. With the bases loaded again for Russin. Nimmo's gone 1 for 3 tonight at a base hit back in the second. Let's have a run home here in the 5th. They're down by a run. Mesoraco at third, Reyes at second, Bautista at first with 2 down. 6-5 Colorado in the 5th. And Nimmo fouls off the fastball, 0-1. Nimmo's mom looking on. Shuddered at the double play last time up. Thinking happy thoughts though about Brandon and his 6 for 13 series so far. Ball and a strike. This is before the first pitch of the at bat. The home plate umpire Lance Barrett came out, yelled something at Russin, and maybe talking about the windup, that he has to declare whether he's going to use the windup or the stretch, because you can't quick pitch out of the stretch, and his windup looks a little like a stretch.
But you're not committed to pitching from the windup. That's silly.
I think you have to say one way or the other, because if you are out of the stretch, then you have to come to a distinct stop and you can't quick pitch. Whereas if you're out of the windup, you can do what he did last night.
But he can change gears in the middle of this at bat if he wants to, without having to declare to the umpire.
Yes, but pitch by pitch, you can't be in the windup. You can't be in the stretch and quick pitch.
Right.
Right. So this is officially a windup.
And he's officially behind the count, 2-1.
Mozeliak has seen his bullpen implode game after game. But Russin got the only man he faced last night. Ottavino's been the other guy who's been effective. Late swing foul. And it's 2-2 to Nimmo.
Now, let's see if he tries to pull a little sneaky.
Now's when you got to be wary with 2 strikes. Just as he did to Conforto last night.
And remember, when he did that, Gary, he threw a slider.
Bases loaded, 2 out, 2-2 to Nimmo. And fouls off a fastball, so he didn't do it there. Again, the 2-2. He bounces it, and Murphy knocks it down with the chest protector to again save a run.
Not even close with that slider. And now it gets dicey.
Now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Mesoraco at third, Reyes at second, Bautista at first. They'll all be running. 3-2, 2 down. And Nimmo takes ball 4, and the game is tied. Nimmo works out the walk with the bases full. Mesoraco comes in to score, and we're back even again at 6-6.
Well, the Mets had 2 runs in the first game of this series that were bases loaded walks. This is the 3rd one in the series.
That run charged to Bettis, who's still responsible for 2 more. And now Cabrera turns around about right-handed. As Drubel has a double and a walk tonight, 1 for 2. And Cabrera takes inside, ball 1. Cabrera, the 8th man to bat in the inning, with Conforto on deck. It all started with the Dominic Smith triple. Flores drove him in with a sac fly. Mets had 2 out and nobody on, but Mesoraco singled, Reyes doubled, Bautista walked, and then Nimmo walked to force in a run. And now Cabrera pulls one to the hole, base hit. Reyes in with the lead run. Here's Bautista trying to score. The throw goes to second. 2-run score on the base hit by Cabrera, and the Mets are back in front, 8-6. Now Parra probably had a play at the plate on Bautista, but opted to throw behind Nimmo at second base.
He had a play at home, and Parra's got a good arm. I am shocked. He charges the ball. Look how close to home he is. Oh my word.
Now, Bautista does not run well, and he had ample time to make a play on him at the plate.
Oh, wow.
So 4 runs home in the inning. The Rockies give up 8 or more runs at home for the 9th straight game, which ties a major league record set in 1894. And the Mets are up by 2. Here's Conforto, 9th man up in the inning. Second time the Mets have sent 9 men to the plate in an inning.
Oh, look at Bautista. Oh, he's not even at third base. He's just touching the bag. He is dead to rights.
It's a big mistake by a 2-time Gold Glover, Gerardo Parra. Now Nimmo wandering off the bag and almost got picked off. He took a few phantom steps toward third, and Russin just a little late getting it to Story.
Well, the bullpen for Colorado has been atrocious, and I'm sorry if I used a strong word like that, but they have been atrocious. Their inherited runners, over 40%, have scored,
and 3 more in this inning.
Oh, and that is, I won't say it again,
it's bad. It's really bad. Conforto takes the fastball down. It's 2-0. You know, the Rockies bullpen ERA is the worst in the National League by far, and even worse than that over the last 3 weeks, up over 9.
Boy, oh boy.
Conforto takes a rip at a fastball, 2-1.
And what are you going to do when you play in this ballpark? You look at Bud Black. He's thinking ahead. My bullpen is going to be dead by the All-Star break.
They invested $100 million in their bullpen, and it just has not worked out. Ottavino's been the only saving grace out there. 2-1 to Conforto, and that's away at Cutter. 3-1. All 8 runs so far charged to Bettis. His line is now complete. 4 2/3, 8 runs, 9 hits, 5 walks, 1 intentional, 3 strikeouts, 97 pitches. The 2 on base are Russin's responsibility, and now he's behind Conforto, 3-1. And Michael takes ball 4, and that reloads the bases for Frazier. So Russin has come in, faced 3 batters, walk, single, walk, and he's loaded them up again. And Frazier, who began this inning by flying out, gets another at bat. Brian Shaw, who looked just awful the other night in a cameo, is up in the Rockies bullpen now. And here comes Bud Black with the right-hand hitter coming up. It's like he might make another pitching change.
He is. You know, it's one thing, Gary, to get beat by giving up hits, but not to throw strikes and walk people. That's inexcusable.
Well, let's see. He hasn't appeared to have made up his mind yet. Maybe just buying some time for Shaw, and there goes the sign. So Russin faced 3 batters, retires nobody, and now Shaw will come on. Mets have scored 4 in the 5th to take an 8-6 lead. We'll be right back to Coors Field. The former Cleveland Indian Brian Shaw has seen his year spiral downward, and we saw last night why. Give a couple of hits, a walk, made a bad throw to second base in a 1/3 of an inning. Comes into a bases loaded spot here. Mets have scored 4 runs in the 5th inning to take the lead. And now Frazier takes a cutter outside for ball 1. Todd tonight 1 for 3, singled in a run in the 2nd. He began this inning by flying out to center field, and then the barrage began. 6 straight Mets have reached base with 2 out, and Frazier fouls off 1-1. Well, those are the guys who got the big money. Wade Davis, the closer, got the biggest deal, but Shaw and McGee also signed for big dollars. The $100 million bullpen has been the worst bullpen in the National League. Bases loaded, 2 out, 4 runs home in the inning, and Frazier bounces one foul. It's 1-2.
We are in the 5th inning, folks. 4 2/3 in, and there's 7 walks issued, 1 intentional. So we'll say 6 walks. It's match that with 10 hits. It's a lot of base runners.
Shaw ahead on Frazier, 1-2, and Todd watches outside. Frazier's never had a hit against Shaw. He's 0 for 8 in his career. Of course, they were in the same division for a while when Todd was with the White Sox and Shaw was with the Indians, so they've seen plenty of each other. Nimmo at third, Cabrera at second, Conforto at first with 2 out. And Frazier fouls back a hanging slider. It's been a rough stretch for Todd. Just 5 hits in his last 34 at bats. This would be a nice place to break out with a big hit. Two coming in tight, ball 3, and the merry-go-round will be cued again.
Can you imagine the reaction of this crowd if it is back-to-back bases loaded walks? Didn't that happen the first night, Jim?
Yes, it did. Nimmo, Cabrera, and Conforto will be running. Prepare for the brass ring. And Frazier grounds one right at Story. His play will be to first. And that retires the side. But 10 Mets come to bat in the 5th. And they score 4 to take the lead. 8-6 New York halfway through.
Number 30 touches them all, and boy, what a Father's Day gift for Senior. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club. A high drive into the lower deck and right. Number 30 touches them all, and boy, what a Father's Day gift for Senior.
This date in baseball history presented by Empire City Casino, June 20th, 2004. Number 500 for Ken Griffey Jr., who would finish his career with 630 big league home runs. Robert Gsellman comes in for the bottom of the 5th to protect a 2-run lead.
Well, I think Gsellman's going to be asked to give around 3 innings of work here.
He last pitched Sunday in Arizona, worked the 9th inning, got his 3rd save, but being used in a very different role here in a very different environment to try and pitch through the middle of the game. After the Mets got only 3 innings out of Seth Lugo. Paul Sewald worked a scoreless 4th. He's now a pitcher of record on the long side with the Mets regaining the lead. Trevor Story takes the pitch low from Gsellman, and it's 2-1.
Well, Gsellman, a sinker ball pitcher, Gary, ground ball pitcher.
Story's reached on there and hit a soft line drive to second. He flies this one out to center, and Conforto's right there. 1 out. Well, tonight's starters don't have much to be happy about, but there are their numbers presented by People's United Bank. Lugo gave up 6 runs, 3 earned over 3, but Chad Bettis, who exited with a 6-5 lead, saw Chris Russell allowed all 3 inherited runners to score, and so Bettis is now on the short end.
So neither starter with a good performance today.
That's an understatement. How often do you think that's been said in this ballpark?
Oh,
like every other day. Here's Gerardo Parra, who already has 2 run scoring hits in this game. Well, we told you earlier that in the 1,887 games that have been played at Coors Field before tonight, 2 teams have averaged 12 runs per game. Well, we're halfway through this one. There have already been 14. So we're ahead of the curve by a lot. Zellman misses with the changeup 1-1. Harrison Musgrave, the next man up in the Rockies bullpen, with the pitcher due up 5th in the inning. Parra lifts one out to left, and Smith retreats. One hands it. 2 out.
I checked out his glove during BP. He went down the field. It's not as bad as I thought. It is good enough. It's very close to being totally broken in.
Well, that's his first put out in 2 games started in left field. He's had a number of balls hit his way that he's had to pick up off the ground. Now Ian Desmond, who takes a fastball for a strike. Desmond has walked and struck out 0 for 1. He also had a couple of chances in Phoenix in the 3 innings he played there, but the resume still rather late for Mr. Smith in left field. 1-1 to Desmond.
Boy, has Gsellman come a long way. It just all of a sudden he has blossomed. He believes in himself. He's a major league pitcher. It's good to see. He's just found the confidence in his fastball. I think that has been the big thing. And you don't have to throw it, overthrow it. When you've got good sink, as Gsellman has, you don't have to throw it through a brick wall. Get under that bat and get those ground balls, even though he's had 2 fly ball outs this inning.
Hey, tell me if you've heard this story before. Yankees were down to the Mariners 5-3 in the 8th. Sanchez 2-run homer to tie it in the 8th. Stanton 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th to win it. They are 49-22. Wow. 2-2 coming. Now that's off the plate. Full count to Desmond. And they have certainly cooled down the Mariners, who came in a red hot team. Boston playing at Minnesota, and the Twins are up 3-1 in the 7th after beating the Red Sox yesterday, so the Yankees could have a 2-game lead at the end of the night. 3-2 to Desmond, and he walked him. 2-out walk by Gsellman prolongs the inning. The Astros bounced back after having their 12-game winning streak stopped last night. They beat the Rays behind Charlie Morton tonight 5-1. That's the 50th win for the Astros, the first team to 50 wins in the major leagues. And with a 3-game lead now over the Mariners with their second straight loss to the Yankees. Here's Murphy. And he takes one the other way for a base hit. Desmond around second. He's going to stop there as Nimmo fires it in, and a nice short hop pickup by Reyes. So Murphy has his second hit of the day. This time going the other way. And the Rockies have 2 on.
Went right with that pitch nicely.
So with 2 out and 2 on, pitcher spot due up. Ryan McMahon will be the pinch hitter for Colorado. Saw McMahon last night. He struck out as a pinch hitter against Chris Beck in the 6th inning. So Gesellman, after retiring the first 2 on fly balls, gives up a walk and an opposite field hit, and now the tying runs on base with 2 out.
One for 18 as a pinch hitter.
Man, a guy they expect to hit for some power, but has only 1 home run in his big league career, and that came last week after 100 odd at bats.
He uses the C271,
which means
it's my model. I swung that bat. I should have lots of hits in it.
we should respect it and not wear batting gloves. And he drives one to deep right center. That goes Nimmo near the wall, and it's out of here. Ryan McMahon with his second big league home run, and it puts the Rockies back in front. A 3-run shot, and it's 9-8 Colorado.
Jeez. Well, oh boy, he got a fastball right down the pipe. No movement. Right and up. Should be right down the middle, folks. Did I not call it? Inner half. Look at Mesoraco, knew it right away.
So McMahon with the pinch hit 3-run homer to turn this game around again. How many twists and turns are left in this one?
Oh, we're not till the cows come home.
4th home run Gesellman's allowed this year in 42 innings of work. And Mickey's thinking, how do I patch the rest of this game together? Now LeMahieu pops one up. Retreating Cabrera, coming in Nimmo, and it's Nimmo to make the catch. And that retires the side, but 2-out magic for the Rockies. A walk, a single, and a pinch hit 3-run homer from the rookie Ryan McMahon. And after 5, it's the Rockies 9, the Mets 8. Where do we go from here? Here's your Mets box score brought to you by Fidelis Care.
Very softly spoken.
Mets have done it without the home run so far tonight. 8 runs and 10 hits. Harrison Musgrave, next candidate for the Rockies out of their bullpen. He pitched in the opening game of the series. Musgrave did. Gave up 2 runs over an inning and 2/3. Robert Gazelman not immune, giving up the 3-run homer to Ryan McMahon that has the Rockies back in front in a seesaw affair. Dominic Smith has a single and a triple already. His first big league triple came in the 5th inning. Part of the Mets' 4-run 5th that put them in front before McMahon's heroics. Dom has come close to 3 hits tonight. The only time he was retired. Story made a nice play going behind second base and throwing him out. Dom was in an 0 for 12 skid before the night began, but he's broken out nicely. And Musgrave fires a strike, 1 and 2. In his outing on Monday night, Musgrave had trouble getting the lefties out. He gave up a home run to Nimmo and a double to Conforto, the only 2 hits he allowed. Slider off the plate. 2 and 2. Flores and Mesoraco, 2 right-hand hitters to follow after Smith in the top of the 6th. Mets 8 runs, 10 hits. The Rockies 9 runs, 9 hits. And Dom fouls one off. Chad Bettis started for the Rockies. He was charged with all 8 Met runs on 9 hits over 4 2/3. Chris Russin faced 3 batters, retired none. Brian Shaw got Frazier on a ground out with the bases loaded to end the 5th. The only batter he faced, and now he's pitcher of record on the long side. And Smith strokes one down the left field line. That's a fair ball going to the corner. And Dom has another extra base hit. He's got a single, a triple, and now a double.
Boy, oh boy.
And the Mets have the tying run in scoring position with nobody out. Holy Eric Valent, he's got a chance for a cycle.
This just continues to want to stay away. Musgrave, you don't want to pitch inside.
Well, the way the Mets last cycle came in this ballpark, that was Scott Hairston in a game the Mets lost by 9 runs.
Yes, I remember that.
18-9. Here's Wilmer Flores. Drove in a run with the sac fly his last time up, and he shoots one foul. Let's check in with Steve.
I had a chance to speak with Bud Black before the game about the Rockies bullpen and how he approaches it as a former pitching coach, now manager. Said the hardest part about it is that most of these guys have really good track records, and so you never really expected this. But at this point, it's really about overturning every stone. He said they've had individual meetings, group meetings, gone over video, looked at mechanics, talked about mentality, focus. Really, at the end of the day, what you have to hope, though, is that those track records eventually kick in. He said right now it's about small victories, tiny steps. Like Brian Shaw, he said his results haven't been there, but the quality of his pitches are just getting a little bit better. You hope that small steps lead to bigger steps, which leads to confidence. That's what Bud Black had to say.
Right now he's got a guy on the mound without a track record, a rookie in Musgrave. But he certainly has got guys down there who've done it before. Davis and Shaw notable among them. McGee. Two and one to Flores, and he hits it on the ground right at Story, and that'll hold the runner at second, and that's the first out of the inning. I mean, it's one thing to say that the bullpen for the Rockies is struggling, but the next question is, what's the impact on the rest of the team?
Well, when you play with a pitching staff that gives up runs now, and you got to couple this with this ballpark, which really increases it. It wears you out when you're out in the defense, and it can get frustrating. Okay, we score 8 runs, it's not enough. You know, it's in the reverse too. Is DeGrom? The opposite is with the team not scoring, and you're pitching like DeGrom did. It's just the opposite, but it's the same kind of feeling for DeGrom, not getting the run support. But I think in the course of a season, Gare, it wears you out to be out there in the field. Nothing's worse than standing around in a ball game.
Well, they do a lot of chasing after balls.
Well, the outfielders, that's for sure.
Mesoraco's working on a good night. He had a 2-run double in the first, an opposite field single his last time up in the fifth. And he got the benefit of that borderline call, and it's 2-0. That's now of 11 hits on the night. Tying run at second with 1 out. Reyes waiting on deck. And now 3-0 to Mesoraco.
See, we know what's happening here too is these pitchers are throwing a ton of pitches, Garrett. And when you have a ton of pitches and there's no contact, you're all 7, the catcher's squatting, you're all standing around, and that wears you out.
3-1. But I guess conversely, as you said, the ballpark comes into play too. Those guys know no matter how many runs their pitchers give up, they can get them back.
Yes.
Because the runs flow so easily in this park.
I guarantee you this lineup here for the Rockies, they're glad they're playing here.
I mean they don't get worn out swinging the bat, do they? And running around the bases.
No.
Nobody ever gets tired of that.
Yeah.
One thing though, until this year, the Rockies have been used to winning at home, and they have not been doing that this year. 12-20 on their home field. 3-2 to Mesoraco, and that's low ball 4, and so the Mets have 2 men on. And now Reyes will come up, and Bud will pace some more.
Everybody wants to trick everybody. 3-2 change up, and he walks.
It's 8 walks given up by Rocky pitchers in 5 1/3 innings tonight. Reyes will turn around about right-handed for the first time. He pulled a double down the right field line as a left-hand batter his last time up in the midst of the Mets' 4-run fifth. Reyes' bat's getting better and better, particularly on this road trip, and now a chance to do some more damage. And he has hit much better right-handed than left this year. Smith at second, Mesoraco at first with 1 out. And Reyes takes outside ball 1. It was a little curious to see Rosario out of the lineup today and Reyes in. Second time in 4 games that Rosario has sat, but nothing wrong with Ahmed. I think they're just trying to work Reyes in a little more as he starts to pick it up. And now 2-0 to Jose. The other piece is, you know, Sunday when Reyes started, he had a really good defensive game as well. He had a couple of really terrific plays. And so they get Rosario off his feet today. Of course, with a 4-man bench, Mets have already used half their bench, and we're only in the 6th inning. Only Rosario and Plawecki left. Gesellman is due up next, and he's out on deck to bat for himself.
Here's a pitch to hit.
.2-0 from Musgrave, and Reyes takes that one just off the plate, and it's 3-0.
Jeez. Oh my word.
Rocky pitchers have already thrown 140 pitches in this game, with 1 out in the 6th.
You're sure we're not in the Midwest League?
Pitcher on deck. Does Reyes get a 3-0 hit sign?
No.
And he takes a strike, 3-1. Even with a pitcher on deck?
Well, you don't know if he's going to. If the base is loaded, if he lets him hit, I'll be shocked.
Well, there's nobody up in the bullpen.
Oh, he's going to let him hit.
Yeah, we said when he came in that they wanted multiple innings from Gesellman. Well, Swarzak is up and standing around, so I guess they have the option.
I would be shocked.
3-1 coming to Reyes, and it's outside, and the bases are loaded. And Callaway says, come back, Gesellman.
Yep.
We're going to send up a hitter. And Kevin Plawecki will come up to pinch hit with the bases full.
This is really.
That's 9 walks now for Rocky pitchers. And the Mets looking to cash in here in the 6th. They have had the bases loaded multiple times in this game. And they get another crack here with Plawecki pinch hitting. Jake McGee gets up in the bullpen with the left-hand hitter Nimmo on deck. Plawecki had a good night at the plate last night, a single and a double. He drove in a run. So the Mets using most of their bench relatively early in this game. 4-man bench. Plawecki's the 3rd man used with a chance to cash in.
Oh
and
my!
A changeup outside, ball 1.
Jeez. I just gotta believe someone's afraid to throw strike. This is unacceptable on this level.
Plawecki pulls one foul. Well, it's all off-speed stuff from Musgrave that's getting him in trouble. I mean, he's not an overpowering pitcher. He's, a guy that throws 90 miles an hour.
Dave Nightingale wrote a column today in the USA Today that this is Exhibit A, Your Honor.
1-1 to Plawecki, and a fastball low and away. 2-1.
Dave Nightingale wrote about too many walks, strikeouts, home runs, too many pitches, lengthening the game, and we're seeing it in spades here.
2-1 to Plawecki, and a fastball for a strike, and now it's 2-2. Dominic Smith led off the inning with an opposite field double. Flores grounded out, but Musgrave has walked 2 in a row. Smith, Mesoraco, and Reyes the base runners with 1 out. Mets down a run in the 6th. 2-2 to Plawecki, and he fouls off another fastball. Nimmo on deck. Lefty McGee up in the bullpen. Harrison Musgrave in just his 15th major league game. And it's inside to Plawecki. 3-2.
An off-speed pitch, Garrett.
He loves to throw his changeup.
Look what he's got himself in trouble.
He's walked 2 in a row, and now he's run a full count to Plawecki. He's already thrown 27 pitches to 5 batters in this inning. It's likely to be his last man with Nimmo on deck and the lefty ready. 3-2 coming to Plawecki. And he grounds one to third. Arenado takes it to the bag, throws it across the diamond for the double play, and Musgrave somehow finds his way out of trouble in the 6th inning. 5-5-3 double play. The Mets waste a bases loaded chance. They've now left 10 runners on base in the first 6 innings. 9-8 Rockies.
That was ball 4.
Mets down by a run. They've left 10 runners on base in the first 6 innings. Neither starter fared well. Rockies with a couple of home runs. Mets with 4 extra base hits. There's the pitching line. Sewald was effective for his 1 inning. Gazelman gave up a 3-run homer in his inning of work, and now Anthony Swarzak comes on to pitch in the bottom of the 6th. Charlie Blackmon leads off for the Rockies, and he takes a slider for ball 1.
Well, Swarzak had a good outing and finished the game in Phoenix against the Diamondbacks. This might be a ballpark. His stuff might be better for this kind of park. Cut fastball, throws hard.
And he ties up Blackmon. Did not swing. 2-0. And the return throw from Mesoraco goes into center field. And the ball is rolling out in shallow center. They put another ball into play. They're not supposed to do that. Conforto takes care of that. There can never be 2 balls in play at once. That's the first rule of umpiring. Fouled off by Blackmon. 2-1. Blackmon having a rough night. 2 strikeouts and a ground ball double play. This Sunday, June 24th, is McDonald's Family Sunday at Citi Field. The Mets take on the Dodgers at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets cap courtesy of Nathan's Famous. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases post-game in the Mr. Med Dash presented by Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. 2-2 to Blackmon with Arenado and Gonzalez to follow in the home 6th inning. Mets led 4-1. Rockies led 6-4. Mets led 8-6. Then McMahon hit the 3-run pinch hit home run in the 5th to put Colorado in front 9-8. Mets loaded the bases with 1 out in the top of this inning, but the Rockies turned 2 against Plawecki and got out of it. It's been a Coors Field special. 3-2 from Swarzak to Blackmon. And he muscles 1 foul. Still 3-2.
Blackman's really struggling at the plate. He's really off. Big uppercut. He's behind. He's caught in between. I've been there.
Again, the 3-2. And he fouls off another fastball.
He's been under a lot, too.
He was on base 4 times last night, but it's been a general downturn for Blackmon over the last 2 weeks. Just 4 hits in his last 26 at bats. So the shift on against him. 8th pitch from Swarzak. And Blackmon gets a hold of one deep right field. Nimmo on the track, and that ball's out of here.
Wow.
Number 14 for Charlie Blackmon. The Rockies' 3rd home run of the night, and it's 10-8 Colorado.
Still dangerous. He's been getting under the ball. It's a high fastball. Look at the level swing. Look at that follow through. Didn't have as much of an uppercut.
So Swarzak is greeted rudely, and now Arenado, who's already homered tonight. Anthony Swarzak, it's the 3rd home run he's allowed in 7 1/3 innings of work this season. Cabrera fields Arenado's grounder and throws him out 1 away. First time Arenado's been retired after a homer, a single, and a walk. Rockies hit 4 home runs last night, 3 more tonight. They had been struggling hitting home runs in their home ballpark coming into this series. Rockies had hit just 35 home runs at home in 30 home games. which is unusual for them. And then they went homerless Monday night, but 7 now in the last 2 nights. Carlos Gonzalez is lined out to right, walked and popped up 0 for 2. And takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Issue with his shoulder.
Wow. Well, he's in a little bit of pain. I bet you he's going to. That's his throwing arm too.
I wonder if that's a nagging issue or something he heard on that last swing. It was a good slider by Swarzak, 2-2. Well, it's certainly something to keep our eye on.
Makes me think he may not be in the lineup tomorrow.
He doesn't like taking games off.
I know he doesn't, but he's in some discomfort, that's for sure.
Gonzalez, broken bat liner into right for a base hit. His 3rd hit in 4 career at bats against Swarzak, and Carr goes aboard with the 2nd hit of the inning.
Right down the middle and belt high off the end of the bat. That's why it broke. No, on towards the label, on towards the label. And his swing has gotten so long. Cargo.
So 1 out and 1 on. Each team now with 11 hits. And now Trevor Story has gone 0 for 3. He reached on an error to start the 2nd inning. That led to 3 unearned runs. And he chops one foul, 0-1. Let's check in on Arenado. He's getting some heat rub on that shoulder.
Yep.
It'll make you feel better.
It's like Bengay.
Yep. Tiger ball. Icy hot. We can, give plugs for all those products. It's not going to solve the underlying issue, but it'll make you feel better. Cargo has 3 stolen bases in 4 tries this year. And Story takes the high slider for a strike, and it's 0-2. He didn't think so. Every time I see the name on his back, I think of those old ads that were on New York TV back in the 70s. Before your time in New York. Got him looking at a slider. And Story goes away an unhappy customer. 2 out. Charlie Blackmon taking advantage of the friendliness of Coors Field. It is not as tilted a home run field as it is a run scoring field, but still it's yielded more home runs per game than any other current ballpark. The ads went, "Hey Jerry, what's the story?"
I missed that one.
Grounded down to first, and Wilmer makes the play on Parr to end the inning. But the Rockies extend their lead on Blackman's 4th home run. 10-8 Colorado after 6. They had a long rain delay in that game. Orioles looking for their 21st win against 51 losses. Jake McGee on to pitch for the Rockies as we go to the 7th.
Another one of the guys that they signed here to bolster this bullpen has not had a good year. He pitched in that first game, came in relief and gave up a 2-run shot, home run to Mesoraco.
Will face the top of the batting order. Brandon Nimmo leads off in the 7th and grounds one right at the second baseman. LeMahieu makes the play. 1 pitch and 1 out for McGee in the 7th. SNY Play Ball presented by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center is back, teaming up with the New York Jets. We're looking to help local football leagues with grants, equipment donations, clinics, and Jets game experiences. Does your league need assistance? Apply today at sny.tv/playball. The young slugger is all set to go. Wants to do some playing ball. Asdrubal Cabrera working on a big night. Single, double, walk. He's driven in 2. He's scored 1. 9 hits in his last 18 at bats after a rough patch, so he has turned it back on. Vroom.
Zoom zoom.
I said vroom.
Jawohl.
To Cabrera, and as dribble bounces one right back to McGee. Nice snag for the second out.
The ball's a base hit.
A palm ball to first base. So McGee's restored some sanity, retired the first 2, and now Conforto, who has a single and a walk tonight. 1 for 3. 9 walks given up by the Rockies pitching staff, 5 by the starter Bettis. Russin walked 2 without retiring a batter. McGee walked 2 in the last inning and somehow lived to tell about it. Just missed the outside corner to Conforto at 96 miles an hour. 1-1.
Keeps his glove up high and his when he pitches from the windup.
And what's the advantage of that? Is he hide the ball better that way?
I have no idea. It's just the way he pitches. Everybody has their own style, Gare.
And again, he just can't quite paint the outside corner. 2-2. Frazier would be next. And Conforto taps one softly, just foul.
If that ball's fair, Arenado's got to eat it. And remember, he just had his throwing shoulder rubbed down, got some heat on it. I'm sure he was happy that ball was not fair.
My guess is if he has to make a throw, it'll be a BB. 2-2 coming to Conforto. And Michael hits another one foul. Final game of this series tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock start New York time. Pre-game coverage at 2:30. Steven Matz for the Mets, Kyle Freeland for the Rockies in a matchup of left-handers. The final game of a 10-game road trip for the Mets. They're 3-5 heading into tonight's game. Got swept 2 in Atlanta, split 4 in Arizona, and split the first 2 of this series. 2-2. And he struck him out with a slider. McGee with a 1-2-3 inning, a couple of ground balls and a strikeout. Seventh inning stretch time in Denver, 10-8 Colorado. Ian Desmond leads off the bottom of the seventh against Anthony Swarzak, who gave up a run in the sixth on a Charlie Blackmon home run, and Desmond fouls off a fastball. Desmond's walked twice, scored 2 runs today, otherwise 0 for 1. Met pitchers have walked only 4 as opposed to 9 by Rockies pitchers, but Mets have given up 3 home runs. Arenado in the first, McMahon the big blow, a 3-run pinch hit home run in the 5th, and then Blackmon in the 6th. Mets were up 4-1, down 6-4, up 8-6. Then the McMahon home run turned the game around in the bottom of the 5th, and the Rockies have been in front ever since. Desmond takes a rip at a slider, and it's 1-2. Ian Desmond's had quite the transition in his career as Adam Ottavino gets up in the bullpen. Shortstop with the Nationals, center fielder with the Rangers, first baseman with the Rockies. Originally drafted by the Montreal Expos 14 years ago. And that slider just off the plate, 2-2. Tom Murphy on deck, and then the pitcher's spot for the Rockies in the 7th. Chris Iannetta with the bat in his hands. Like the Mets, the Rockies going with a 4-man bench. You pretty much have to in this ballpark. You've got to carry the extra reliever, because you run through so many pitchers in the course of a series. Well, the Twins beat the Red Sox for the 2nd straight day, 4-1. Lance Lynn, 5 scoreless innings for the Twins. So the Red Sox fall 2 games behind the Yankees, and Minnesota keeps hope alive in the AL Central. Slider off the plate, 3-2. Well, the Indians, the only team with a winning record in that division. They got a strong outing from Corey Kluber today to beat the White Sox. Kluber 7 innings, 1 hit. He came off a bad start. Well, he took care of that. Kluber is now 11-3, 2.10. And that's ball 4. So Swarzak, after getting ahead on Desmond, loses him to a walk. And the third time that Desmond has walked today. So the leadoff man on for the Rockies in the 7th. Now Tom Murphy, who has 2 hits today, singled in a run in the 3rd. And then he hit one to right field for a base hit in the 5th. Well, Cuevas has come out on deck to pinch hit for the Rockies, with the pitcher spot due up next. Adam Ottavino getting ready to pitch the 8th inning. He has been by far the Rockies' most effective reliever this year. Ground ball slowly hit. Frazier to second. Cabrera on to first. Not in time. Just not hit hard enough to turn 2. They got the 5-4 force on Desmond for the first out.
Murphy running pretty good there for a catcher. Not a good feed from Frazier. Kind of ran him into the runner a little bit. He had to do a little olay. That's fair game right there to take out a second baseman.
Now Cuevas called back, and it's Chris Iannetta who's going to pinch hit. Iannetta started last night, was on base 3 times, a single, a walk, and a hit by pitch. 1 out and 1 on. And the slider off the plate, ball 1. .35-year-old Chris Iannetta in his 2nd tour of duty with Colorado. Spent the first 6 years of his career with the Rockies. Last year in Arizona. And Swarzak paints the outside, and it's 1-1. That's got a brief outing from their starter for a 2nd straight day. Last night Jason Vargas went 2 1/3. Today Seth Lugo lasted only 3, and that's gotten the Mets deep into their bullpen. Jerry Blevins is up now. 2-1 to Iannetta. You've got LeMahieu, right-hand hitter on deck, and then Blackman, left-hand hitter. And that appears to be what Blevins is preparing for. Last night the Mets used Robles, Beck, and Peterson all for multiple innings. Robles got rewarded with a ticket to Las Vegas today. Chris Flexen replaced him on the roster. Today Sewald and Gazelman each going an inning, and now Swarzak in his 2nd. And he misses away, and he falls behind on Iannetta, 3-1. Murphy at first with 1 out. And that's a strike. 3-2. Swarzak, the Mets' main bullpen pickup in the offseason. His injury for 2 months with an oblique certainly set the Mets back. Now losing A.J. Ramos for the season with shoulder surgery sets them back again. 3-2. Runner goes. Struck him out. Throw to second by Mesoraco. Murphy is out at second base. What a tag by Cabrera, who's a little shaken up. So is Murphy. It's a strike him out, throw him out double play, but at what cost?
And they're going to challenge the call at second base.
Cabrera holding that left elbow after Murphy came sliding in. What a tag by Cabrera. But he might have had that elbow hyperextended as Murphy slid into him.
He's out. That's a heck of a tag. You are absolutely correct, Gare. I just don't know where he hurt his elbow.
I think on the tag he got it bent back right there.
Yeah. Oh, then his calf came down on it too.
So Cabrera walking off, waiting for them to review this play and make sure that indeed it is the third out. Certainly appeared from here as though it was, and they confirm it. So a strike him out, throw him out double play gets Swarzak through the bottom of the seventh. And what a play by Cabrera on the back end of it. And we'll see whether he's able to continue from here. That's a Javi Baez type of tag.
That's a nice play.
He'll go get that checked out. That's still down 2.
Sugar, just in case this Mets game runs late. Either way, we'll see you after Mets post game for Geico Sports Night. We're getting you ready for the NBA draft. See you then.
I'll watch that A1C, Justine. Adam Ottavino on to pitch the 8th inning for the Rockies.
He had a very sharp inning and a third last night. 3 strikeouts, no hits.
Comes in to face Todd Frazier leading off in the 8th inning. 10-8 Rockies, and Frazier takes a slider for a strike. Todd's 1 for 4 tonight, singled in a run in the second. It'll be Frazier, Smith, and Flores for the Mets in the 8th. Mets have let a couple of golden chances bypass in this game. Frazier came up with 2 out on the bases loaded in the 5th and grounded out against Brian Shaw. Then the Mets had the bases loaded, 1 out in the 6th, and Plawecki grounded into a double play. Ottavino fires one inside. 1-2. Mets have left 10 runners on base. Jake McGee calmed things down with a 1-2-3 7th. Now Ottavino trying to pick it up from there. And Frazier lifts one to right. Cargo going back onto the warning track, right at the wall to make the catch. One long out to start the 8th.
Ottavino's motion here. Look how he leans back and he drives off that back foot. Big stride. And in this angle, you'll see he throws slightly across his body, stepping a little bit towards the third base dugout. And that's coming across his body. That makes that slider really effective.
Dominic Smith, who has a single, double, and triple tonight, and takes a fastball for a strike. He singled to right center in the 1st, tripled into the right field corner in the 5th, and then doubled down the left field line in the 6th. So Dom has used the whole ballpark tonight. that one on the inside corner. I don't think Dom liked either call, and now it's 0-2. Ottavino outside, Ottavino inside, and now Dom finds himself in a hole. Wilmer Flores on deck. And Smith goes down swinging on a high fastball. 3 pitches, and Ottavino takes care of Smith for the second out.
Chased a high one. And set up by that inside fastball, went up the ladder.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Wilmer Flores. Wilmer's 0 for 2 tonight, a walk and a sacrifice fly. Mets offense was in high gear for the first half of this game. But now 6 Mets in a row have been retired by the combination of Musgrave, McGee, and Ottavino.
Oh, Musgrave pulled the Houdini.
Ground ball toward the middle, and Wilmer's got a 2-out hit. So Flores adds the Mets' 12th hit of the night.
Fastball down the pipe. Doesn't have a lot of movement on his fastball like he did last night, Ottavino.
And now Devin Mesoraco, who has as much success as anybody against relief pitchers. He's already had a good night with a single and a double. His slugging percentage against relief pitchers this year is .708. That's the best in the major leagues.
Oh, good slider.
Ottavino with a nasty pitch to start him off.
Well, they know that Mesoraco likes that fastball, gets on pull mode.
All 7 of his home runs have come in the 7th inning or later this year. Thus the high slugging percentage.
Oh, hanger.
But Ottavino quickly ahead of him 0-2.
Under it.
That was the pitch to hit.
Boy, he takes a rip.
Mesoraco tying run at the plate in a 10-8 game. He's been on base 3 times tonight. Long set.
Cool.
And he gets dusted off by that fastball. 1-2.
Gotta think he's going to throw that big sweeping slider off the plate. See if Mesoraco will go fishing. Here comes the old slidey.
And he lifts one to shallow right, but there's LeMahieu to pick it off. And that retires the side. A hit and 1 left. Middle of the 8th. 10-8 Colorado. Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Jerry's Familia will come on for the bottom of the 8th. He last pitched on Sunday in Phoenix and had a rough inning. Gave up a run but was able to strand the bases loaded to limit any further damage. So he's trying to work his way back from the sore shoulder that put him on the disabled list. He'll face the top of the batting order. DJ LeMahieu leads off in the home 8th. LeMahieu 2 for 4 tonight. Singled in a run in the 2nd. That's now on their 5th pitcher of the night. Lugo went just 3, and so the Mets have had to piece it together from there. Fastball strike from Familia, 1-1. Anthony Swarzak worked 2 innings, allowed a run on 2 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, the home run to Blackman. And LeMahieu with a big cut, 1-2. Mets have twice had multiple run leads in this game. They were up 4-1. They were up 8-6. What is this, a fox hunt? What is that? I believe the call to the post has gone awry. The horses are walking backwards. Ground ball toward the hole, and that'll go through for LeMahieu's 3rd hit of the night.
How can you give LeMahieu the right side of the infield?
I was just about to say, we've said it the whole series. That's where he hits the ball. Why would you play your second baseman up the middle against him?
Jeez. I'm getting a headache. I mean, come on. You can't. This guy goes the opposite field. And you're playing him like a pull hitter. You know what?
Yes.
I'm going to go back to the hotel. I'm going to go to the Palm with the restaurant in the lobby, and I'm going to get myself a nice glass of red wine.
That should be soothing for you. Here's Charlie Blackman, who homered his last time up, and he thinks about a bunt and takes a strike. There it goes again.
Where's Robert?
The world's worst trumpeter.
Where's Robert Preston? Oh my gosh.
What would Louis Armstrong say?
Oh.
Good slider by Familia, and it's 0-2. Blackman had 3 fruitless at bats to start the night, 2 strikeouts and a ground ball double play, but then he greeted Swarzak with a home run leading off the 6th. That's the last run that's scored in this game. Made it 10-8. LeMahieu at first and nobody out. Looking ahead to the 9th, the Mets will have 8, 9, and 1 on the order. That's Reyes, Rosario, the last man left on the bench, and Nimmo against Wade Davis, who's getting ready. Really trying to keep this game right where it is to give the Mets a shot in the 9th. But facing the tough hitters in the Rockies order. And Blackman gets under this one. This should stay in the ballpark. Nimmo waiting for it. 1 out. I said should because you just never know here.
You don't.
1 out and 1 on. Here's Arenado, who homered back in the 1st inning, his 2nd in 2 nights. One of 3 home runs on the night for the Rockies. He's also singled and walked, 2 for 3 in this game. Rockies won last night 10-8, up by the same score tonight in the 8th. Arenado looking for his first ever hit against Familia. See, the trumpet in the ballpark is working. It's just our trumpet that has failed the test. I guess technically it's a bugle, not a trumpet. You know the difference between a bugle and a trumpet, right? There are no keys on a bugle.
Whatever you say. I'm not interested.
You want to start talking about the sousaphone? Now Familia and Mesoraco are on the same page. And Arenado bounces the slider foul. Still 0-2. Well, it's Drupal Cabrera hanging in there after taking a shot to his elbow on that tag that ended the 7th inning. A wrap. Still touching that elbow to make sure it's okay. Slider missed somewhere. At least that's what Lance Barrett said. 1-2. What does Pitchcast say? Strike.
Right down the middle. Wow.
Guess he saw it as high.
Yes. This is one of those games, Gary, we were talking earlier. A lot of standing around for the defenders out there, position players. They are all going to be exhausted after this game. I guarantee you. They will get in that clubhouse and they'll take off their shoes as fast as they can and sit down on the stool.
And then a day game tomorrow.
I'm going to go regroup.
And a 4-hour flight home. And a game the next night. Double play ball. Reyes boots it. On his way to third, LeMahieu. And the Rockies have runners at the corner. Should have been an inning-ending double play. Ball came up. Reyes couldn't handle it. And the Rockies up by 2 and looking for more.
Ball 8 up, Jose. Came up a little bit.
Well, it's a play we've seen Reyes make 1,000 times, but not that time. And he took it off the wrist as well. It'll be an error charge to Reyes. Putting runners at first and third with 1 out for Carlos Gonzalez. Seventh error of the year in part-time duty for Reyes. Gonzalez 1 for 3 and a walk tonight.
Ooh.
And that sinker low and in for ball 1. Rocco did well to keep that from going to the backstop. That's second error of the night. First one by Frazier was very costly. 3 unearned runs ensued. That was back in the 2nd inning. Cargo fouls it off. 1-1. Seth Lugo started, went 3 innings, allowed 6 runs, 3 of them earned on 6 hits. Paul Sewald worked a scoreless 4th. Robert Gazelman gave up the 3-run homer to Ryan McMahon that put the Rockies in front of the 5th. And then Anthony Swarzak gave up a home run in his 2 innings of work. Lugo back out to watch the finish of this one. 1-1 to Gonzalez. And he pulls a foul. 1-2. Right now Gazelman is pitcher of record on the short side. Brian Shaw got 1 out. A big one with the bases loaded. In the 5th for the Rockies is pitcher of record on the long side. And Gazelman's still out there watching as well. pitchers can all commiserate with one another. Watching this series and thinking about what it would be like to play 81 home games here.
Be grateful you're not.
Oh, can you imagine? I mean, we see 3 or 4 games a year here, and it's tear your hair out baseball.
This one got to me tonight, and it's not so much. I don't mind the slugfest. It's there are hits out there, but the walks.
Well, one leads to the other, doesn't it? When you're getting whacked around.
You can't walk people. 9 walks for Colorado and 5 for the Mets. 14 walks in the game. A major league game.
Gonzalez down on strikes for the second out.
Well,
the slider up in the zone, and he just missed it.
Too long a swing. Wrapping the bat around his head. He is just a shell of what he used to be.
One-time batting champ. So now 2 out and 2 on. And Trevor Story coming up. Story's gone 0 for 4 tonight, but he was the guy who hit the ground ball that resulted in the error back in the second that cost the Mets 3 runs and allowed the Rockies to tie the game after trailing early. First and third and 2 out. And Story takes a little bit high, ball 1.
The fan just got up from his seat in a 2-run ball game with the bases loaded, 2 outs. A big at bat. And he's taking a hike. First and third, he's taking a hike.
What's your point? It's been a long game, Keith. Some people get tired. Might need to use the facilities. Get a hot dog. Slider misses inside. 2-0 to Story. I mean, they're not getting paid to be here like you and I are. We're the fortunate ones. They're paying to be at the ball game. They can do whatever they want.
I will be mum.
Like a chrysanthemum? Or like the Queen Mum? Nice selfie. 2-0 coming to Story. And there's a strike.
There's your
top of the zone. 2-1.
I asked the question. I made a request of how many pitches in this game. That was 300 and the 326th pitch of this game.
I would have guessed higher.
Wow.
2-1 from Familia. And Story chases a slider, and it's 2-2. Wade Davis getting ready to pitch the 9th for Colorado. Mesoraco gives signs to the infield in case the Rockies try and run a play here with Arenado at first and LeMahieu at third. I mean, Arenado doesn't have the speed to steal a base. He's got a couple this year, but that's not his game. Don't imagine you try the old delayed double steal with Story at the plate. The league leader in RBIs. 2-2 in the dirt. Mesoraco with a nice stop. Full count. It's a lot of pitches he's had to catch back there. And still digging down in the dirt to make sure that LeMahieu can't move off third. Gerardo Parra would be next. So now Arenado will be running. And what's Flores going to do? Flores going to play behind the runner at first.
Yep. That's an automatic.
Not anymore. See all the time them not doing that. Three-2 coming to Story. And he popped it up foul. That'll come out of play. Is a holdout still on the table for Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. SNY's NFL insider Ralph Vacchiano has everything you need to know about the situation on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. How many column inches have been wasted on that topic? Seventh pitch of the at bat coming from Familia to Story. Arenado gets set to run again. And he struck him out. Familia with the slider gets himself out of a jam with back-to-back strikeouts of Gonzalez and Story. That keeps it a 2-run game as we go to the ninth in Denver. Well, it's midnight in Manhattan. This is no time to get cute. Wade Davis in to pitch the ninth inning for the Rockies.
Got the final out, nailed down the final out last night's game.
Jose Reyes leads off in the ninth as he did last night against Davis. He drew a walk to start the ninth, and he takes the pitch low, ball one. Interestingly enough, it's the third time in the last 4 games that Reyes has led off the ninth inning with the Mets trailing. He had the bunt single Sunday and the walk last night. Tonight he's 1 for 2 and he's drawn 2 walks. Had a double back in the 5th.
Oh man!
And Davis falls behind him 2-0. Ahmed Rosario, the last man left on the Mets bench, is on deck to pinch hit, and then Brandon Nimmo for the Mets in the ninth. Shaw, the 7th Rockies pitcher of the night. And Reyes taking all the way, 2-1. Brian Shaw, pitcher of record on the long side. Davis pitching the ninth. And that's on the corner, 2-2. And Reyes grounds one to LeMahieu. 1 out. So Davis gets the first out in the ninth. And now Rosario comes up to pinch hit. Ahmed went 1 for 4 last night. He's 4 for 9 in this series. And pinch hitting here for the pitcher. Trying to get on to bring Nimmo to the plate as the tying run.
Only his second pinch hit of the season. 0 for 1 thus far.
And he has a base hit in his only career at bat against Wade Davis. And he takes fastball for a strike. Davis bidding for his 21st save of the year. He had a meltdown game on Sunday in Texas. That's lined up the middle, a base hit for Rosario. And the Mets will get the tying run to bat in the 9th inning. So Rosario with a pinch hit single. And the Mets have life in the 9th.
Nice at bat. Slider, not much of one, but he stayed in. Well done.
So now Nimmo, who is 1 for 4 in a walk, he's driven in a run, he's scored a run. He's homered twice in this series. Tying run at the plate, 1 out. And he takes a curveball for a strike, 0-1. Nimmo 0 for 2 in his career against Davis. By the way, with his 6 plate appearances today, Nimmo will appear in the league leaders tomorrow. He would have led the league in slugging percentage coming into tonight. And Nimmo hits one in the air to left center field, overcomes Parra, and he runs it down for the 2nd out. So Nimmo is retired, and the Mets are down to their final out of the night with Asdrubal Cabrera coming up. Cabrera, a single and a double. He's driven in 2. He's scored 1. And he's got great career numbers against Wade Davis. 5 hits in 10 career at bats. Davis got him on a ground out last night. Rosario at first with 2 out. They're not holding him on. And he takes off. Takes second on defensive indifference. Ball 1 to Cabrera.
Boy, you just got to keep the ball away here. Cabrera's going to try to look for something to yank.
Cabrera 12 home runs, tied for the club lead. And his bat has come back to life. 9 hits in his last 19 at bats. Rosario heads for 3rd, and he'll take that on defensive indifference as well. And now it's 2-0 to Cabrera. And as Asdrubal grounds one down to first, Desmond's got it, and the Rockies hang on to win for the 2nd straight night by the identical score of 10-8. Mets had a 3-run lead early. They had a 2-run lead in the middle of the game, but Ryan McMahon's 3-run pinch hit home run put the Rockies over the top. Their bullpen steadied late in the game. Davis with the save, and the Rockies have taken 2 of the first 3 in this series as they win tonight 10-8.
Well, another typical Coors Field game, identical score from last night, 10-8, another seesaw affair. And I tell you what, I know these guys are exhausted. I'm exhausted up here.
Another good offensive night for the Mets. They've scored 38 runs in their last 5 games, but they stalled late against the struggling Rockies bullpen. And the Mets fall to 3-6 on this road trip with 1 more game left to play. Here's the game summary brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Last night, Jason Vargas lasted just 2 1/3. Seth Lugo